doing?
Okay.
I'm David Gamboa. I oversee external affairs, and we're going to give you a gift. Here's a little fountain if you want to learn.
Thank you.
I'll give one to each candidate.
Okay, great.
It's been a while. David Gamboa, oversee external affairs with the university.
Alex Montero, how are you?
Here's a gift from us to you as a fountain from the university.
Good, because I'm alumni.
Good evening. My name is Derek Mims, and I'm the Director of Government and Community Relations for Cal State Dominguez Hills. On behalf of our University President, Dr. Thomas Parham, I want to welcome you to this special civic engagement tonight here at Cal State Dominguez Hills in the city of Carson. I want to give a special thanks to our partner in this engagement, civic engagement, radio station, KJLH, which that's 102.3 on your radio dial.
That's right.
And for you students here, KJLH stands for kindness, joy, love, and happiness.
All right.
That's KJLH.
That's right.
KJLH has been a great partner with Dominguez Hills for a few years now. They hold their Men's Empowerment Summit here, and they do a lot of great activity with the university. And we all know that KJLH is more than that. They have great radio personalities like Who Knows Guy Black, Tammy Mack, Andre Russell. And then when they cut off the music, they give the community what they need. During the civil unrest of 1992, everybody turned to KJLH to find out what was happening. When the Black Lives Matter issue was taking place, people turned to radio station KJLH to find out what was going on. They are the conscience of the community. They always serve the community very well. So we have somebody here from KJLH. But before I say that, do we all know that Stevie Wonder owns KJLH? Mr. Stevie Wonder himself. You can't get any better than that. Of course, when I was a kid, I was a big Stevie Wonder fan, and all my relatives would call me and say, Derek, Stevie Wonder's on TV. I get another call, Derek, Stevie Wonder's on TV. You better hurry up, Stevie Wonder's on TV. I got so many calls. By the time I got to the TV, Stevie Wonder was off TV. I didn't even get the chance to see him. Love Stevie Wonder. And one of his great, besides the great talent there, is his great staff. And we've been working with some great members of his staff for a few years here. Of course, his general manager, Karen Slade, and also another manager who's here with us today, Ron Turner, who happens to also be my frat brother in Phi Beta Sigma. All right. So I want to introduce right now Mr. Ron Turner on behalf of KJLH.
Thank you, Derek. I just want to give a thank you for the partnership here at Cal State Dominguez Hills. We have an incredible partnership here at the university. And on behalf of Stevie Wonder and our Vice President General Manager, Karen Slade, I want to welcome you and thank the university again for the partnership. Thank you.
Okay, so the first portion of this program today is voter engagement. And to get us kicked off, when I mentioned Dr. Parham, one thing about our president, he is very much speaking about the consciousness of the community. He always reminds us that Dominguez Hills is not just in the community, but Dominguez Hills is of the community. That means Dominguez Hills is your university. He couldn't be here today, so he gave us the next best thing, and that's his wife. She'll be coming up right now, Miss Davida Parham.
Thank you, and good evening, and welcome to this Civic Engagement Forum. I am, in addition to being a spouse of President Parham, I am a political junkie. I am also a retired CSU and UC educator, and I am so glad to be joining you this evening. As Derek said, President Parham couldn't be with us, but he sends his best to each and every one of you and our KJLH partners and the candidates, and he is eager to hear about what we know will be a successful and very knowledge-filled forum. So, I also commend each of you for showing up tonight. I mean, this has been an interesting day for us with a lot of heavy rains, and it always makes it difficult traveling in Southern California when it rains. We don't get it very often, we need it, but when we get it, it can be challenging. So be safe, and thank you for coming. I'm going to be short in communicating my thoughts on the importance of voting and the importance of your vote in 2024. I grew up during the civil rights years when activists fought and some even died for our right to vote. I was in college in 1971 when the 26th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified and lowered the voting age to 18. That's when I began voting, and I'm proud to say that I have voted in every primary and every general election since then. I am very proud of that. And I also have to thank my late father, who really was the person who taught me about civic engagement and clearly taught me our history in this country, our history as an African American, and my history also as a woman about the importance of voting and how many folks died and sacrificed, fought for it. I learned early on that all elections, local, state, presidential, they're all important. And I know that the results impact almost every aspect of our lives. Think about it, you know, so many things are political that really shouldn't be, but they are. Healthcare, availability of it, policy, costs of it, and of course that includes reproductive freedom rights, which we know are at the forefront today, again, 50 years later, after we thought we had fought and won that one. Our environment, the quality of the air we breathe, the water we drink, availability and access to quality housing, education and healthy food in our communities, and even public school policy and curriculum is now a very, very political issue. And so we have to vote, folks. We really do have to vote. These issues have become battled in courts. They're showing up on ballots across the nation. They are important. And your vote counts. As President Obama has said, in addition to that, voting counts, elections matter. And as an educated voter, I urge you to learn about the issues and the position of candidates running for elected office in local and presidential races, as we are doing tonight. And in that way, you will be able to be informed, and you can use your vote, which is a really powerful tool to make a difference in your community, your communities, to make a difference in our state, and to make a difference in our nation. Speaking of the importance of voting, here's a little tidbit. Did you know that the current senator in District 35, Senator Steve Bradford, and an alum of Cal State Dominguez Hills, lost his first run for the state legislature, and he lost it by just 100 votes. I could give you a whole lot more, but I won't bore you. There are lots of truisms out there about the power of the vote and how votes people have won and lost on very few numbers. Fortunately, Senator Bradford didn't give up, and he ran for election again, and he succeeded. But again, this is just one example of how votes count and how voting and your vote can make a difference. Senator Bradford has, of course, been a magnificent and magnanimously fierce advocate and supporter for our university, bringing in millions in funding for Dominguez Hills, funding that has been in addition to what is allocated to our campus from the state budget. And he will be termed out this year, and that's why we have all of the candidates here who seek to fill his shoes and the position. So we are so grateful to have this event, and we will get to meet and hear from them, all of these folks who are running to replace Senator Bradford. So we are also very proud that Dominguez Hills is an official vote center site in LA County. And for this election and for every election. So this year, LA County also installed a mailbox, a vote mailbox on our campus, and that's where voters can drop off completed ballots, mail-in ballots, and I understand that those ballots are being mailed out this week. So last but not least, if you're not a registered to vote tonight, we do have volunteers and staff here who can and will help you get registered. And it only takes a few minutes. So thank you very much for coming. And remember to vote, because your vote matters and it can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we call her the First Lady here on our campus.
Yes.
That's right. So also, I want to recognize a few elected officials we have with us here today. We have, I saw Councilwoman Angie Reyes from the city of Hawthorne, I believe. Can you stand to be recognized? I also saw Councilwoman Katrina Manning, an alum of Dominguez Hills. There she is. I also want to recognize, like I said, I'm government and community relations, but my division is university advancement. And the head of university advancement is our vice president, Ms. Eva Chikova. And also David Gamboa, who's the senior assistant vice president of external affairs. You all know David. Everybody knows David. So we're going to bring up now that we know why we should vote. We're going to find out how to vote. So we're going to bring up Professor Norman right now. Professor Norman.
Thank you very much, Derek. How many students are here tonight? Raise your hand if you're a student. All right. All right. Well, my name is Dr. Thomas Norman. I'm a professor of management, and I've been here about 20 years. This is my first teaching gig, and I love it. Fell in love with this place. Used to live across the way in Carson. Now I'm down in San Pedro, so definitely in this district for, be with most of you students trying to figure out who our next senator should be. We've been treated very well by our current elected senator, and I want you to know this building you're in tonight is because folks like you spoke and told the senator what we needed. If we would have been here when I started, my wife went to the building close to here and wanted to use the restroom and found out there were no doors. There were shower curtains on some of them, but they'd fallen, and she wasn't super comfortable with that situation. But by working with our elected officials, thank you, we actually advocated to build an entirely new building here, which didn't just rectify that great inequity, but we now, if you've noticed, if you're using it, we've got trans bathrooms here on the first floor, right? We've gone to that next level, and Dominguez Hills has led the CSU system in that, as well as I'm also an elected member of our faculty senate. I'm one of two who represent us at the Chancellor's office in Long Beach for all 23 CSUs, and it was a resolution that we came up with as a faculty that I authored saying we needed lactation spaces. We did it here. We passed a statewide resolution, and now I see, senators and assembly people are thinking that's important too. So I want the students to know, it was a student who brought that idea to me, to the faculty, that your ideas matter. So talk to your elected officials, talk to your professors, your president, the president's wife, your deans, and know that what you do matters, right? So to try to encourage you, I have one last little poll. For those of you that are students here, how many of you are not getting credit for being here? Raise your hands, because I want to applaud those two that are just here civically. I want to thank the professors who are giving credit, but I also want to recognize those of you that really, really care. And those of you that are getting credit, make sure you come to the next one of these. So what I've been asked to say, so all that was my extemporaneous, is yes, we are an official vote center, right? We have been, so your vote matters. This election coming up is probably, you know, they always say it's the most important in your lifetime, but if you're younger, really, that's very likely true. The vote by mail, mailbox will be here. And then here's the scripted part. To register to vote in California, you must be a United States citizen and a resident of California. That makes sense, right? 18 years or older. How many of the students here are 18 years and older? Right, let's say, you know, they're all voters, right? So people seeking to be an elected representative want to know about you. You're not currently serving a state or federal prison term for the conviction of a felony and not currently found mentally incompetent to vote by a court. So you see now that you're eligible. The last day to register to vote for the March 5th election is February 20th. Let's not wait. Don't procrastinate. This isn't like doing that paper, right? You know, don't let the weather get in the way. So please take steps to register today if you're not registered. And then we want to let you know in terms of your choices. We have a lot of choices. Your political party choices include the Democratic Party, the Libertarian Party, American Independent Party, all of which those have open primaries, and then the Republican Party, Green Party, Peace and Freedom Party. You can choose a party or register as no party preference, known as NPP. The crossover voting for president is determined by each party. Any county with more than 10,000 residents whose native language is not English is required to provide election materials in identified language. Now, I know here, right, we have some Spanish speakers probably in this room, right? We probably have folks, I know we have Russians in this room, so we have ballots translated into Spanish, Russian, Tagalog, Thai, Korean, Chinese, right? So I want you to know in LA County, there's 18 different languages that the ballots are going to be printed in. Finally, for more information, contact the Secretary of State's website, www.sosca.gov, or Los Angeles Registrar's Office at www.lavote.net. Again, Dr. Thomas Norman, thanks for everybody who's here, especially for the students, and thanks for those seeking to represent us as our next senator. Good night.
Thank you very much, Professor Norman. I also want to recognize a couple of other elected officials that we have. We have Kalia Bradshaw, who is the city clerk for the city of Clarkson, who's also a Toro. Where's Kalia? We also have Vera DeWitt, who's on the Water Replenishment District Board. Vera, back there. So now we know why to vote, how to vote. Now we're going to learn something specifically for students here at Cal State Dominguez Hills. And to do that, we're going to bring up our two student leaders, Edgar and Adeline from ASI, Student Leadership.
Thank you, Derek. Honored members of our community, esteemed faculty and administration, thank you for being here today. I am the Associated Students Incorporated Director of Legislative Affairs, excited to share news about an upcoming civic engagement event that holds the power to shape the future of our democracy, the California Ballot Bowl. This event happens every statewide election. However, it is not your typical competition. It is a friendly rivalry that unites all California higher education systems in a shared mission to register the most students to vote. So what exactly is the purpose behind Ballot Bowl? First and foremost, Ballot Bowl aims to engage students as active participants in our democracy. It's about empowering every one of you to have a voice and be a part of the decision-making process that affects our futures. Beyond individual engagement, Ballot Bowl also serves to motivate campuses like ours to adopt and implement policies that enhance civic engagement. This isn't just a numbers game. It's about fostering a culture that values civic participation and encourages students to be informed and involved citizens. Moreover, Ballot Bowl provides a platform to showcase the best practices and civic engagement efforts happening on campuses across California. By highlighting these success stories, we inspire others to adopt similar initiatives, creating a ripple effect that strengthens our entire educational community. So let's rally together, register to vote, and show the entire state of California that our campus is not just a place of learning, it's a powerhouse of civic engagement ready to shape the future. Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Edgar Mejia Lozano. I'm the ASI Student Body President here at Cal State Dominguez Hills. Before I get into the power of student voice, I want you to know who exactly are the student leaders of California State University Dominguez Hills. It's not just myself, it's a team effort. But a little bit more about myself is, my name is Edgar. I was born in Guatemala, come from a poor rural town. My background consists of my grandfather, great-grandfather being two former mayors who, like our leaders here, won their elections against other candidates. And I want to tell you a little bit about the power of student engagement. Student engagement is such a powerful movement. It's such a powerful voice because as students, today our choice, our decisions, our vote impacts tomorrow. The people who come after us, your kids, my kids, the generations moving forward, the future alumni of California State University Dominguez Hills. And I want to emphasize the diversity that we serve here at Dominguez Hills. We serve student parents. We serve students who come from households where there's only one parent. We serve student athletes. We serve international students. We serve students who perhaps their background might have been challenging, but they're here wishing to get an education, like many of us, like I did. So I'm very proud to serve this institution, and I believe that there's power in students, there's power in vote. And if you're feeling unmotivated to vote, let me share that there's probably someone in the hospital looking for your opportunity right now to vote. Someone out there is looking for your chance. And we have that opportunity today to make a difference, to be impactful, to choose who our representative will be in Sacramento, to choose who will represent us. There's power in organization. There's power in collaboration. I've collaborated with the Carson community for a while now. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, elected officials and whatnot. My great friend John Holloway, if you're watching today, thank you so much for what you do for Carson. But I just want to emphasize that power of student voice. And for all of our students here, vote now, register to vote. There's power of the people, and we are the people. So thank you so much and have a great day.
Okay, fantastic. Now we're about to get to the meat of the day. But I want to remind you that we passed out some little white slips of paper. If you have a question, please write them down and we'll collect them and ask some of your questions. So make sure you write them down and we'll have volunteers to pick them up and so forth. So right now, we're going to switch over to the candidate side of this evening. I want to remind you, as you saw the loop going through, you saw that Dominguez, if you paid attention, one of those slides said 112. Those 2 ones mean that Dominguez Hills is number 1 in the whole country, the whole nation, among all universities. Not some, not CSU, not just public, but all universities. Number 1 in our student social mobility, moving up once they graduate. Number 1. The other number 1, Dominguez Hills graduates the most African American students in the public system here in California. That's another big number 1. So, and one other thing I have to put in there, because I did have a slide that shows some of our alumni who graduated. You see those great people who graduated from civic engagement from Dominguez Hills? I missed one. Of course, he will come up to me and tell me, Derek, my picture's not on that slide. And that is our own Councilman, Alex Montero. So I'll give him some love right there. Dominguez. We just all over the place. I try to keep up so many great Dominguez graduates who go on and do great things in our South Bay area. So now if I can have Professor Martin come up.
Excuse me.
So good evening, everyone. Now the fun part begins.
What we're going to do is we're going to ask a series of questions of the candidates. And I'll explain the rules of the road in a moment. But the bottom line is this, that we will hear their views on whatever the questions may ask. And I don't believe they have the questions beforehand, so please give it some thought. The way we're going to do this is I will always begin with the candidate on my far right, and then we'll go to the left, and then we'll loop back for the remainder of the questions. Now, the rules of the road are as follows. Our guests will have 90 seconds for opening statements, and then we will have 1 minute to answer a question. And then at the end, what we will have is 1 minute for closing statements, closing arguments. And forgive me, I'm an attorney, that's why I say closing arguments. And I would like to introduce Adeline again, who has flashcards. Yellow means, please, candidates, please pay attention to this. 15 seconds left to finish your answer to the questions or to your opening statement. And then the red one, which is it's time to stop. So, please respect this, and I'll nudge you if I have to. Thank you very much. So, let us begin with James Spencer. You have 90 seconds for your opening statement.
Okay, my name is James Spencer. I was born in Mississippi, raised in St. Louis. I did 11 years in the United States Marine Corps. I have a college degree in aviation management while I was in the military, the Marine Corps, serving this country for keep us free and have the right to vote and the right to be free. Came to California in 81, stationed in California in 81. It was the most beautiful city I've ever been in. I was going to go to Hawaii. I lived all over the world. I was going to go to Hawaii for 4 years, turned it down because California was beautiful. Now, after 31 years in Inglewood, resident of Inglewood, and looking at California today, it's atrocious. How could a beautiful city become this bad? I hate to say this, yes, I'm a Republican, and this is my own personal feelings, but we all affected, Democrats, independents, and all of us are being affected. As I look around, progressive Democrats have destroyed California with this legislation, with its liberal policies. You have the state Senate assembly is 80 people. The Senate is 40 senators. And you hold the supermajority here, and why are we in the condition that we are in? The Democrats control the House and the state and the legislature. All your rules and you're receiving are from your own self, and it's your money. You should be running the show.
Thank you,
and if
Mr.
I go,
Spencer.
I'll do like I did in the Marine. You fight to win, not to lose.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker for 90 seconds would be Milo Michelin.
Hi, my name is Nilo Vega Michelin, and sorry, James, I love California, and I'm going to be fighting for California. I'm a proud high school teacher and former Dominguez Hills student. I am a high school teacher. I'm an El Camino College trustee, but the most important thing about me was that I was raised by a single mom from Costa Rica who taught me the value of hard work and faith. And I know what working class
The racial equity commitment is absolutely important to our company. Black and Latino communities are growing quickly, and the better we understand and are prepared to serve their needs, the better off we'll be as a company.
We are actively now changing our underwriting credit box in a way that makes credit more accessible to small business owners of color.
in health, homelessness, environment, and education. That's why I have not taken any corporate or special interest donations, because I will fight for the people and not the politicians. Today, I want to challenge my opponents to take no corporate or developer pledge and return all corporate and developer donations they have accepted. How can you say you're going to help the homeless when you've accepted donations from a developer that's trying to evict mobile home tenants right here in Carson? How can you say you're going to help the people when you take money from corporate PACs? So listen to them closely during this debate and see what they say. Nilo Vega Michelin, thank you very much.
And I neglected to mention one more rule of the road, please. No heckling, no outbursts. Please be respectful of our candidates. And our next candidate is Michelle Chambers. You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. I apologize, I'm a little hoarse. My name is Michelle Chambers, and I am running to become your next senator. I am, with over 30 years of governmental experience, I understand right now people are hurting. Families are struggling. I understand the struggles myself, but we need someone in this Senate who's going to bring that change about. I'm honored to say I'm the only candidate that was endorsed by Senator Steve Bradford himself. You know what that means, as well as your California Faculty Association. That tells you that they all trust me to lead them in the California State Senate to not only improve your quality of way of life right now, but your future. Look at tuition. I'm addressing homelessness, mental health, substance abuse issues, and more importantly, job sustainability and creation, so that when you graduate, you can obtain employment. I am Michelle Chambers, and I am your next senator for California 35th Senate District.
Thank you very much. And Jennifer Williams, you have 90 seconds for opening statement.
Thank you all so much for allowing me to be here, and thank you all for participating. My name is Jennifer Trishelle Marie Williams. I am a millennial. I'm 34 years old, and therefore reflect over 40% of California's electorate. That's important for you to know. And I'm running to transform lives and to renew a sense of love and collective responsibility in society. I believe that we should hold our elected officials accountable to show love through the values of transparency, equity, and accountability. Those are the values that I've lived out my life personally as a CPA, as a financial statement auditor. It's all about holding corporations accountable and making sure that there's transparency in corporate America. I'm from this district, I'm from Willowbrook, and my husband and I are raising our 4-year-old daughter in Westmont, unincorporated communities, which a lot of Black and brown folks live in LA County. We need this sort of perspective reflected in Sacramento. The status quo is not working. We have worse air pollution than 95% of the rest of the state. We are more housing and rent burden than 90% of the state. And the per capita median income is only $23,000. Poverty, homelessness, and environmental injustices, these persist, and that's why we need these issues reflected in our state legislature, which I have personal experience in. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to earning your vote March 5th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next candidate, please, is Laura.
Well, good evening. How are we doing tonight? I thought I'd get up so you could see me a little bit better because this side is missing over here. My name is Laura Richardson, and I'm a candidate for the state Senate. I'm a Democrat, and I'm a proud Democrat. Let me tell you about my background. I was born and raised here right in the 35th district, like many of you. I went to school. I got my bachelor's degree from UCLA and a master's degree from USC. I worked in the private sector for 13 years. So I haven't always been a career politician. I've hit it like many of you are doing. I've been unemployed before. I've had to re-engineer and start a new career. That's what many of us have faced, and that's what we're facing going forward. I'm not new here to the Toros, right? Isn't that where we are today? I played in the Olympic Development League right here at Cal State Dominguez Hills. I've also had a very long relationship with this community. I wrote a few points. I started my master's degree here. I completed a certificate in construction project management. I was senior staff to Lieutenant Governor when he was trustee right here at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and I'm happy to tell you I never wrote a speech that would approve increasing student fees. Also in Congress, I was very instrumental in being here and supporting our art contest, and I was very respectfully in one of my beloved positions was serving as a former board member to the Merv Dimely Political Economic Institute. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura Richardson. Our next candidate is Alex Montero. You have 90 seconds for your opening statement.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. I'll have to say thank you for the Cal State Dominguez and to all the organizers for putting this event together. But let me tell you, I'm living the American dream. I came to this country 40 years ago. My mom and dad had to travel from Africa to Europe to the United States to give us education. So that's when I arrived in Rhode Island in 1984. I went to University of Rhode Island, right? I did my BA over there. I worked in Boston with Al Gore, Vice President Al Gore, to do economic development. Then I came to LA, and I worked for the Federal Qualified Health Center in East LA. I worked at LAUSD, at the Roosevelt High School. So then, I came to Hawthorne. I came to Hawthorne and worked as a Healthy Start coordinator for the nonprofit and the Hawthorne School District. In 2005, I tried to put preschools in our schools. They said no, because we didn't want poor people in our campus. And those preschools were going to be free. So I went and applied for the money for the First 5 LA to the LA Up, brought millions of dollars to Hawthorne to build free preschool. Then 2007, I ran for the school board. So I won the election. So 12 years in the school board, now my second term as a council member for the Hawthorne, and I want to make sure that we have education for all, we have housing for all, healthcare for all, free tuition to the Cal State Dominguez system, and everything, homeless and everything else. I'll tell you more later.
Thank you, Mr. Monteiro. Our next candidate is Albert Robles, and you have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Albert Robles. I grew up here in Carson, attended local public schools, kindergarten at Carson Street Elementary School, fellow alum over there, Stephen White Junior High School, and then I went to Narbonne. And the reason I went to Narbonne is because my parents only had a 6th grade education when they immigrated from Mexico. And they wanted me, as their only son, and my sister, to do better. And they knew the path to success in America was through a good education. So they instilled in me and my sister the value of a good education. So I applied and got accepted to the magnet program at Narbonne. And at 6:30 in the morning, every morning, I was at the corner of Carson Street and Main taking a bus to Narbonne because of the values that my parents instilled in me. Needless to say, I exceeded their expectations. While I did not graduate from Cal State Dominguez Hills, this is the very, very first university campus that I ever set foot in. As a high school student at Narbonne, I came here in the evenings to study. And I'm very, very fortunate to have had that opportunity. But for this university, I would not be where I am. I subsequently got my bachelor's degree from the University of Colorado, master's degree from USC, and my Juris Doctorate degree from UC Berkeley School of Law. And we will talk more a little bit later.
Thank you, Mr. Robles. And Mr. Lamar Lyons, you have 90 seconds for your opening statement.
Good evening. I'm a foreigner. I'm from the other side of the district, namely South Central LA. However, I've been a resident of the district for 30 years. My reason for running is for advocacy. I have advocacy credentials in community politics, labor, and commerce. There are 5 issues I think are important: affordable housing and homelessness, environment, economic enrichment, transportation, public safety, and reparations. I was a single parent. I lost my wife, and I ended up becoming a single parent and having raised 2 minor kids. I'm proud to say that of the 2 of the 3, one is a graduate of the University of Washington. He played football there on the national championship team. He also played for the Raiders and the Ravens. My younger son is an investment banker at JP Morgan. And my youngest daughter is a professional dancer. She was tutored by Debbie Allen. She's now she lives in New York. Currently, I'm the vice president of the Central Neighborhood Council in San Pedro. I have a law degree from Howard University. I also went to UCLA. I was student body president at UCLA. I was a product of something called the High Potential Program. And also, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. And now we begin the question and answer period. Once again, just a reminder that each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the questions. And if you need me to repeat it, that's fine, not a problem. So let us begin. The question is Governor Newsom has committed to increasing California State University, and University of California budgets 5% for 5 years. If elected, will you support this compact? And Mr. Spencer, you have 1 minute to answer the question.
Yes, I'll support that compact, 5%.
Thank you very much. Mr. Michelin, you have 1 minute to reply.
Thank you. I'm a trustee for the El Camino College, and I would definitely support that. I've been a student here at Cal State Dominguez. I was a student at UCLA Law School, and we need this to bring up the students. The only way that we're going to have a successful middle class is to bring everybody up with education. So I support it 100%.
Very good, thank you. And Michelle Chambers.
Thank you. Of course, yes, I will support the increase, but we also have to look at what those increases include and also make sure that we continue to protect the $20 million investment for student retention. That is another one we have to remember. So we can look at the budget, we can look at the increases, but we got to make sure that you have a senator in Sacramento to fight for other funding resources and protecting our budget, especially in the California College Guidance Program. We need to make sure we keep that opportunity funded so we can continue to help those students with the student loans, paying for college tuition, and also additional access to career challenges. Also, we have over 3.55 billion borrowers here in California. We have to make sure we have to please, whatever we do, support free college for all. All of our legislators right now sent a letter to Washington, D.C., supporting the student forgiveness programs. The only way our students are going to get ahead and align and by career preparedness and readiness is if we give them a leg up financially and making sure our programs are continuously funded every year, as well as our faculty needs to be funded.
And Ms. Williams.
Yes. Look, I went to college on the East Coast. That was my dream. But I came back home, and I see that we don't have as many changes that we need. And one of the reasons we don't have the changes that we need in the CSU and the UC system is because our state's master plan for higher education is over 60 years old. That's insane. Just like we need to have new, fresh perspectives in our government, hello, millennial, we also need a new and fresh, updated plan on higher education. And so this 5%, of course, I would approve of and support, but we need much, much more than this. And it's because our master plan is insufficient, is outdated. So we need to update that to reflect the true costs and the true needs of the higher education system. And that's something that I would love to support and lead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Richardson, you're next. 1 minute.
Thank you. Yes, I would. The question was, Governor Newsom has brought forward to increase the budget 5% for 5 years. Not only would I do that, I would also say that I wouldn't support an increase if it's going to include an increase in student fees. We need it both ways. We need to protect the fees that students are already paying. They can't afford a higher tuition increase. So absolutely, I support the state providing 5% more per year, but with the understanding that it would not come with increasing student fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montero, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. As alumni from here, with my master's degree in education, I definitely would support the 5%, but like Ms. Jennifer Williams said, it's not enough. Because when you think about what is 5% for 5 years, right? Because its cost of living is going up, inflation, so everything is more expensive. I don't think that's enough. So we need to put more money into education, especially the four-year college. To me, students should come to California to go to the system. All people, residents here should be free. We should not be paying for tuition, right? And like Ms. Chambers said, student loan is one of the things that hinders people to buy a home. So, and education and your first home is the key to get out of poverty. So we want to make sure these student loans are forgiven. And that is what I will fight for. And in Sacramento, we need to fight for more money for the public education because it's not enough. Because when it comes to budget crisis, the first thing they do is cut education and healthcare. That has to stop.
Thank you very much. Mr. Robles, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, I would support it. And I would introduce a new concept. Instead of a free education for everyone, it should be means tested. In other words, if you're a multimillionaire and you have children that are going to go to university, there's no reason they should get a free education at a Cal State or a UC. Now, if you're working class, middle class, or below, then yes, because there was a time where everyone in the state of California was eligible for a free education. And now we have budget constraints that prevent us from allowing it to be free for everyone, so we need to make it means tested so that it is fairly distributed so that working class, lower income individuals can get the skill set to work their way up the economic ladder. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lyons, you're next with 60 seconds.
My response to that is no, I would not support a 5%. I think that is a low number. When you look at the amount of tax dollars that come from low and low income individuals, I entered UCLA with something called the High Potential Program, and that was a program that was acclimated towards inner city students who could not basically meet certain standards. We proved the system wrong in that regard, so therefore, no, I would not support 5%. I think it should be like 10 to 15%. I think it should be connected with inflation. Also, I think it should be connected with the economic status of a community.
Thank you very much. So our second question, it's fairly long, but it's very understandable. It is. The United States of America paid $20,000 to Japanese Americans who were forcibly put into internment camps during World War II. Germany paid over $86 billion to Jews and their heirs for the Holocaust. Our very own Senator Bradford, along with others, led the Reparations Task Force and its efforts for California to institute reparations to the descendants of blacks who suffered through slavery and for its lingering social, political, and economic hardships. Have you read the California Reparations Report? And what are your thoughts on reparations? So, Mr. Spencer, you're first, and it's for 60 seconds, please.
My thought on reparations, we should get reparations. We're the only group of people, every time we talk about reparations, we have to study. They have to study. They didn't study the Chinese. They didn't study the Japanese. And Steve Bradford put the bill up. Your House is all Democrats in the legislature and the Senate. Why didn't you pass the bill? Why didn't you pass the bill? It's your taxpayers' money, but they only come to us about reparations, time to vote. Only time to vote. They just want your vote. What are we getting for our votes? Everybody talk about how important voting is. What are we getting for our votes? We haven't got nothing for our votes. I bought my house in '91. And now people talk about affordable housing and all that. They weren't talking about affordable housing in '91. So we should be improved, not deproved.
Thank you very much. Mr. Michelin, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. As a high school teacher, I teach my students that Black history is U.S. history. Everybody in this room would not have the rights that we do without the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, and the Voting Rights Act. So I support Senator Bradford's effort, and I think it's a first step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chambers, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, as I stated earlier, I'm the only candidate that is endorsed by Senator Bradford, which means I would definitely take up that mantle of reparations. Not only that, but as External Affairs Manager for California Department of Justice, who conducted this study and led the reparations charge this year, I was afforded the opportunity to read the study, work alongside legislatures on that study, but also work with our community members on what does reparations look like. And just to be clear, reparations not only means money, house, education, it also means a criminal justice reparations we need. We also need reparations on health equalities. So when we're talking about making us whole, it means the whole entire gamut, not just about slavery, but about how we've been inconsistently fighting injustices all of our lives as we've done, and it's now time that we be repaired reparations all the way around and be made whole.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, reparations is really close to my heart. In corporate America, before I left my corporate job to serve this district, I'm currently a LA County Commissioner on the Citizens Economy and Efficiency Commission, already serving the 2nd District of LA County, which includes Carson and other communities. And before I left, I joined a Racial Equity Public Policy Fellowship. And in that fellowship, that corporate-led fellowship, I actually led a team advocating for reparations. You can imagine how difficult that must have been in a corporate environment with a variety of different political views. But you know what? I shared my personal story. I shared the data on how other communities have received cash payments, have received studies, and then some, but the African American community hasn't. And that idea was voted #1 in that whole public policy fellowship because of that, my leadership in collaboration with those folks. And so I have the experience to fight for the policies, and I support them fervently. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. The question that was asked was, did you read the report? So yes, I have read the report, the California report on reparations. And I think the question we have to ask, and yes, the second question is, what is your thoughts on reparations? What are my thoughts? I support them. I support them as I would have supported had I been in an elected position when we had the Japanese who were interned. Yes, I support reparations. But we have a lot of students here. The key thing you have to know about politics, how are we going to pay for it? That's the question. So what I would say, some of my thoughts, we can increase the percentage that people would use in their pension. We could reduce interest rates that people might receive, and we could also offer tax credits as well. The key is, how do you pay for it? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montero, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, I have read the report, and I do support the preparation because, as born in Africa, I know, they stole the good men and women from our homeland. They brought them to this country, and they make them work for free, slavery. And then what they did, all these big companies in the stock market, 500 Fortune company, only 1% of the people in this country are rich, billionaires. And then what we have, African American and other people suffering. How to pay for the food, how to pay for rent, how to pay for their first car, how to pay for student loans. So yes, I support with all my heart that we need preparation, and we need to make sure that people, when we do that preparation, give them money, is given in the way that they're going to fulfill and be better human beings. Maybe buy their first home, pay for bill, or maybe put to a retirement plan. So we need to do that, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Reparations in Germany was done by the country of Germany. Here in the United States, I believe that reparations should be done by the country of the United States, not the state of California. But with that said, there are many aspects to reparations, and one of those is education. Reparations with respect to increasing the equality and the level of basic education from elementary, middle school, and high school, that needs to be fixed. I was criticized, we were at a forum yesterday, where I said that our school systems was effed up, and I said the F word. And I was criticized for that, but that's a fact. And one of the facts is that poor schools are in poor, unrepresented areas, and that needs to be fixed. And that's part of the reparations process, as is the criminal justice system, where it's black and brown individuals that are disproportionately targeted with certain crimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lyons, you have 60 seconds.
I'm looking at the definition of reparations. It says the making of amends for a wrong done by one by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wronged. I was fortunate to go to Wall Street. And the issue is, how do you pay for it? Now, there was an organization called the Black Panther Party. They had 3 components to their program: food, clothing, and shelter. The only problem is there was no provision for it to be paid. I'm proposing a $2 billion fund that would be financed through a private, public type of a vehicle. And what we do, we hit those who basically benefit from slavery. all the corporations have benefited from slavery. So we hit them and asked them to invest in the $2 billion fund and utilize that money for the returns to the community.
Thank you very much, everyone. We have a question that brings everything back home. So, here it is. I've lived in Hawthorne for 30 years. My parents are small business owners, yet we never hear from our local or state elected officials. What does meaningful and comprehensive constituent outreach and engagement look like in Senate District 35? Mr. Spencer, you have 60 seconds.
I agree to that question. I live in Inglewood. I never see nobody unless it's voting time. The reason, say that question again.
Oh, sure.
I agree with it, but.
The question is, I've lived in Hawthorne for 30 years. My parents are small business owners, yet we never hear from our local or state elected officials. What does meaningful and comprehensive constituent outreach and engagement look like in Senate District 35?
We don't have none. So what we have to do is all of us here, we have to get involved. Your state senator can't fit, a state senator can go to everybody. What I would do is everyone in all those 21 areas, we need to form a committee. And what problems do we have? You need to be able to come to me every day and tell me. And every bill that's being passed, you should know about it. It's your taxpayers' money. It's your money. It's not the state's money. It's your money. But they make it like this money come from the air. It's your money. If you want your money to go to the right things, then you need to stand up. And like I said, I would rather all of y'all right now is more powerful than all 8 of us. So if you went to Sacramento and showed them how you felt, they'll change their mind.
Thank you. Mr. Michelin, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I'll tell you what it looks like. I think I'm the only candidate to go to all the neighborhood councils in this area. I've been to the Watts Neighborhood Council, Harbor Gateway, North Harbor Gateway, South Harbor, Coastal San Pedro, Central San Pedro, and Northwest San Pedro. Constituency is showing up and listening to the concerns. And you know what I found out? The concerns from the Watts Neighborhood Council is the same as the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council. They want a clean environment. They want something to be done with the homeless situation. And everybody has the same concerns. You just have to get out there and listen to the people and take action. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chambers, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, what that looks like is responsive and effective. I've served for over 30 years, had the great pleasure of serving under some great leaders. And what makes me different than all others is that I show up. I show up. Hold me accountable. I am accountable. Also, what makes us makes it different is inclusion. We have to include our communities. We have to include our businesses, our nonprofit organizations, our faith-based organizations. Before we start the policy making and decision making, we should be including you all. I worked for Minority Women in Business Enterprises. A lot of folks who have businesses don't understand how to qualify for access to business and capital because we're not informing them of the process. We're not informing them of the resources. We're not making them aware of the benefits. And as your senator, I will make sure not only are you kept abreast and aware of opportunities, but make sure you're included in my policy decisions. I am making policy changes to affect your quality of life in Sacramento, and you have to be included in the decisions that I make. So that is what it looks like. It looks like effective, responsive, and inclusion. And as your senator, that is what I bring.
Ms. Williams, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you for this question. Community engagement is really close to my heart. When I was in the Racial Equity Public Policy Fellowship, I led what was called the Place-Based Initiative, which was all about listening first. And it's more than having you all be included in the decisions. I think you all should be making the decisions and setting the strategy of our community and in our district. So my values, again, are transparency, equity, and accountability. I plan on having at least quarterly meetings within this district, regularly standing that you can count on to engage with me, to address the needs of lack of civic engagement and participation. Transparency means making sure that you are setting the priorities for me, And then we need to have metrics associated with the strategy. And then we need to have equitable access to civic engagement through things like language accessibility. That's why my campaign has materials translated in Tagalog, Spanish, and English, because that's extremely important. And that's what I plan to bring as your next state senator. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. So the question is, someone lives in Hawthorne and you'd like to know how we would approach constituent outreach. I was the first person in this South Bay area when I first started working as a state assemblywoman and then consequently in Congress to open up a field office in every single city that I represented. First person. You shouldn't have to struggle and come from Hawthorne to go all the way to San Pedro or to go to Watts or wherever. You should have representation in every single city. You should have consistent staff that are in that office at least a minimum of twice a week that are doing what? Doing casework, helping you on issues that you might have. And also what's important, I used to do meetings, meet in the market. Go to where the people are, be accessible, be available, where people in their normal day have an opportunity to meet their representative and to say how they need help. And finally, participating in events. And when I had a senior briefing, we picked up seniors from every single city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Montero, you have
Thank
60
you.
seconds.
Well, that question kind of like, hit me in the head, right? Because I'm from Hawthorne. But let me tell you, to be fair, for example, Senator Steve Bradford goes to our city council meeting at least twice a year to give us a report. And I am on the street 24/7. I'm a small business owner too. I have nonprofit, preschools, and low-income housing. And Hawthorne, when I became council member 5 years ago, I did town hall meetings with business and residents. We create business, Ms. Valentine, a former councilman, did business expo every year, teaching business how to conduct business, how to create market, media, et cetera, et cetera. We now have a business connect in Hawthorne that connect business with resources. We have grants giving to business in the city of Hawthorne. So that person who wrote that question, please come talk to me because I'll connect you and make sure that your mom and your business is going to thrive in Hawthorne.
Thank you. And Mr. Robles, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. To the individual that wrote the question, congratulations. That means your business must be doing well. You haven't had a need to make contact with your city council members. So that's a good thing. I don't see that as a bad thing. But, Mr. Spencer and I have been talking about the idea that he just explained, and that is that it is your budget. It is your government. And now all of us have a cell phone. And there is no reason why you can't be asked to provide input on a regular basis. There is no reason why every single resident of the 35th district can't text, email, or do a social media request to your state senator for any assistance you need wherever you are, even if you're somewhere else, traveling out of state or abroad. There's no reason why you shouldn't be entitled to that. And Mr. Spencer will do that, and I will copy it because it's a good idea.
Mr. Lyons, you have 60 seconds.
The 35th consists of 14 cities. Each of them have a different personality, different needs. One shoe does not fit all feet. San Pedro is different from Hawthorne. Hawthorne is different from Watts. Watts is different from Wilmington. They're all different, which means that you have to have a structure that allows for input from 14 different cities. I would have a management structure where each particular city would sit on a council in order to share their experiences, their challenges, and at the same time, too, when it comes to small businesses, take them through the basic steps. When you go to a bank, the bank's got to ask for three things: financials, do you have the professional capability to make it happen, and thirdly, what is your pro forma? Therefore, what I'm saying is 14 different cities with 14 different needs.
Thank you. And thanks to the panel. We have another question from the audience, and it's a two-part question. The first part, If elected, are you committed to sponsoring legislation that will restore control of schools back to the school board? Second part, what specific policies do you propose to improve education and ensure that all students have access to a high-quality learning environment? Mr. Spencer?
That's a
you're
great
first.
question because Inglewood has that problem. Our school district been in receivership. Our school district been in receivership for 11 years. And nothing has happened. I love Steve, but Steve wrote the bill to put our schools in receivership. Now we went up there on the 16th to ask them to sponsor a bill to get us out of the receivership. Steve didn't show up. What's her name? They don't show up. They don't show up. Like I said, we talk about education and giving and parents should have control of our schools. And for as education, better education, we should have the choice to send our kids to any school we want because that is our taxpayers' money. We got to stop letting these Sacramento dictate to us what we have to do. We should be dictating to them what they need to do. They work for us.
Thank you very much. Mr. Michelin, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I was on the El Camino board when we started, and we helped out Compton Community College. Compton Community College is not even next to us. They're over a little bit of, we were the only district to help out Compton Community College. But you know what we did? We said we want to make this as fast as possible. So we got in there, we helped them as much as we could, and then I'm proud to report that Compton Community College right now is flourishing, and that's what should be done with Inglewood, the Inglewood School District. Give them what they need, let them flourish, and let them have local control. Because I've been on the Hawthorne School Board, and I know local control is the best kind of control. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chambers, you have 60 seconds.
Can you repeat the second half of the question?
The second part? Sure. What specific policies do you propose to improve education and ensure that all students have access to a high-quality learning environment?
Thank you for that question. And so for the first piece, I would just like to say with regarding the local control, as former council member, can you hear me? I'm sorry, can you hear me? As former council member for the great city of Compton, I understand the importance of local control. What I will do, though, it's important that we collaborate and we work together. We must work with our localities to build affordable housing. We must work with our local economy, government to feed our economy. That's who approves those businesses. What we can do is continue to support further oversight. What that looks like is when the money comes from the state, that we work with our cities on appropriating those funds. Prime example, when the money comes from the federal government for infrastructure, goes to the state, comes down to our cities, we make sure we have project managers to oversee all of those projects that's going on in our cities, such as repairing our streets, repairing our lights and our infrastructure. And as far as education, we have to invest in early child care, early childhood, starting from early on. Learning starts 0 on up. We have to invest in early child care. We have to include wraparound services for our students and continue to fund higher education projects.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, you have 60 seconds.
Yes. In terms of local control, of course I support local control going back to our school districts. As a matter of fact, I was endorsed by Parent Voices Action, and I was one of two. I was the only Democratic candidate that traveled to Sacramento earlier this month with Inglewood parents to advocate for a bill to bring sovereignty to our local schools. Because it's not right to see our state reap the benefits financially of our schools being in receivership and not give them local control. And so I'm proud to say that I've been standing with parents on this. Now, in terms of my proposals, again, transparency, equity, and accountability. We need to work on the funding model. Right now, the local control funding formula is really bad. It's broken. We need to fix that. And we need to have more equity in how we are addressing the fact that Black students are the most underperforming. So our local control funding formula does not account for that. And that's what I'm going to fix when I get to Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson, 60 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, I support returning the authority to the school boards for all of the unified school districts that we have in the state of California. Particularly, we've had this issue in our own district, both in Compton and also in Inglewood. What would be some of the policies that I would work on? I have voted on universal kindergarten. We should have that every student is able to go to kindergarten, not only here in California, but across the country as well. But take it a step further. I support universal pre-K. Students, young kids, starting at the age of 3, need to begin to be in an environment where they're working with other kids and beginning to learn very important skills. Other things I would do is reinstitute music, art, woodshop. We need to get back to the things that also motivate our students. And then finally, I think that the private sector companies that are benefiting and utilizing state funding need to provide mentorships and internships in the summer at their companies for our successful students. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montero, you have 60 seconds.
All right. Actually, I have preschool for 3 and 4-year-olds at university preschools for 15 years. And right now it's a state preschool. I went from grant to state preschool. So there is universal preschool already in California. And now kids can go to pre-K in any public school. I support public school. I support local control. And let me tell you about, I was on the school board for 12 years. And the local control form did work for low-income students, especially the community of color, because I saw an improvement in our school district. We create academy for middle schools. We create a business academy, a STEM academy, and fine arts academy. We gave the students in 6th to 8th grade opportunity to learn a trade, to make sure that they become entrepreneur, business entrepreneur. And that is what, when they go to college or to university, they already know what they want. And then the same thing happened, that our deep end charter, number 10 in California, number 54 in the nation, best high school in Hawthorne.
Thank you very much. Mr. Robles, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I'm a product of LAUSD. And as I said earlier, I got in trouble last night for using the F word, but our school system is effed up. LAUSD is too big, and it should be broken up. We talk about local control. LAUSD is a monster. It makes no sense that you have schools in diverse communities, underrepresented communities, and then you have schools in Pacific Palisades in LAUSD system, and you go to Pacific Palisades, and that school looks like it's a country club. And then you go to other schools in the inner city, they look completely different. Our school system is effed up. I worked for Congressman Dimely when Compton Unified School District was taken over. I supported the takeover. And Compton School District is better because of it. That's a fact. Now, Inglewood, has it been in receivership too long? Perhaps, but the hope is that in the end, Inglewood School District will also be better off once it comes out of receivership.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Lyons, you have 60 seconds.
There is a 800-pound gorilla in the room. That's charter schools. Charter schools are challenging the authority and the power of local schools. So the question becomes, how do you basically bring balance back into the community? First issue is charter schools. They are undermining local schools. Now, on the other hand, it blows on the money. Now, on the money side, you have a situation in which you have kids who go to school with no shoes and no clothes. They're hungry. The problem goes to the home, and that has to do the families have a means of making money? So therefore, in terms of local control, I say that, again, the issue that has to be addressed is how do you basically corral charter schools?
Thank you very much, and thank you for your panel. We have a question from another resident. Being a resident and employee of the 35th District, I have been working with the homeless for 18 years. There has been over $20 billion to assist the unhoused, and they are still on the street. What will you do differently to combat homelessness?
One
Mr.
person,
Spencer, please go
one
ahead.
person can't one senator can't stop the homeless. Right now, a good friend of mine, Ted Hayes, a homeless activist, I would bring Ted Hayes to be the czar for the homelessness. No more nonprofit organization running these organizations. This is a money maker. This is a money maker. You spend that kind of money and nothing is resolved? Something's wrong with that picture. Matter of fact, all our houses should be paid for. We should become homeless. They getting a better deal than you are. And you're the one paying the taxes. Everybody keeps thinking this money is coming from the, like your mom used to tell you, money don't fall off the trees, money ain't on the trees, you just go pull it. It's coming out of your pocket, and they'll charge something else to get more money, and nothing has happened. If I was running a corporation, I would be fired.
Thank you. Mr. Michelin, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Just a suggestion, I think we should start the questions back and forth, because I think it's pretty unfair for James to always start off. You're okay? All right. We can take it, but okay. Well, like I said, there's too much corporate money going into Sacramento. So who do the politicians listen to? These big corporations. That's why we have this homelessness problem. And I think what we need to do is we need to, number one, help out with the down payment for the young people. Your young people, it's almost impossible to get a home. All the young students over here, congratulations for your presentation. You're going to start your career, but you deserve to have a home as soon as possible. So you need down payment assistance, and you need assistance with your mortgage. What does that mean? A silent second. That means part of your mortgage you don't have to pay off until you sell the house. That means that way you don't have this huge payment that's unaffordable. So let's help our students by having more affordable housing. And as far as the homeless, let's help out with mental illness, and let's help them out with help out the veterans as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to hurry up and say.
Ms. Chambers, you're up.
Thank you. I'm going to say really quickly, my apologies because I misunderstood the last question. I do want to say, yes, I support local control. However, I do believe that if the school district is not up to standard and failing, that the state should step in. It is our responsibility to make sure our students are properly educated. Also, I served on the board to return Compton College back to the city of Compton. So, yes, I would support local control. As for our homeless, addressing the homeless issue, we definitely have to look at rezoning. We have to look at our land use. We have to take an assessment, a thorough assessment of our tangible and intangible assets in this district. Also look at the CRA properties. We also have the opportunities to develop even more land trusts, but also, thank goodness, the new legislation was signed this year. I'm talking fast, I only got a minute. New legislation was signed that just afforded faith-based organizations and schools to build homeless housing. So we have to look at streamlining those processes, not avoiding CEQA, but just making sure we cut the barriers that is hindering us from building affordable housing. And more importantly, making sure our communities have the opportunity to work on those projects.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, you have 60 seconds.
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure.
Thank you.
Being a resident and employee of the 35th District, I've been working with the homeless for 18 years. There has been over $20 billion to assist the unhoused, and they are still on the streets. What will you do differently to combat homelessness?
Yes, thank you. You know, I'm not sure how many of you all know in this room, but every year in LA County, we get about a third of the unsheltered community sheltered. A third, every year. So what that indicates is that we're not doing a good job at keeping folks sheltered, and we're not doing a good job at preventing more people from becoming unsheltered. And so my plan is to focus more on homelessness prevention. We need to use technology that can help predict when people are at risk of falling into homelessness. We need to make sustainable and meaningful investments in this sorts of technology so that we can support people. And I'd like to say also that the homelessness issue is economic. The root of it is economic. So we need to provide workforce development programs to help the homelessness get in homes and remain in homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. You know, I'm going to disagree with Mr. Spencer. He said one person can't change things. Talk about Governor Ronald Reagan, who shut down all the mental health facilities. That was one person who changed and caused serious problems in this state. So what would I focus on? I would focus on mental health treatment. I would focus on drug addiction treatment. Over 40% of the people who are homeless are not homeless because they don't have a home. They are experiencing other challenges. And what we don't need is the police, law enforcement going out to a mental health situation without the appropriate training and support. What would I do? For the person who asked this question, who said they've been working with the homeless for 18 years, I would put more money working with the nonprofits who are working with the homeless who are doing a good job. And yes, we need to add more housing as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montero.
All right, so one of the things about, $20 billion, right? They create committees, bureaucracy. They don't put money into the real place. When I became council member in the city of Hawthorne, I joined the homeless task force for the South Bay COG because Hawthorne was sending to LA County to that Prop H that we vote, $4 million every year. And they were giving us only $40,000 to do homeless program. That even pay for homeless coordinator. So that's what I went and fought with the 16 city from South Bay COG to bring more additional dollar to our District 35 to make those tiny homes in Hawthorne, in Redondo Beach, in Torrance. For sure we give them wraparound service. We have to give them mental health, health care, job training. That's what we collaborate with the South Bay Workforce Investment Board to make sure that the unhoused become a plumber, electrician, a mechanic, because that's the way they're going to be taken out of the streets.
Thank you very much. Mr. Robles, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, but I may be the only one that, well, first of all, you all know that just recently, LA County orchestrated and do an annual count of all the homeless. Every year they do that, and they just concluded. I may be the only one that has participated in that count multiple years. I've done that. And because homelessness is a real issue. And I'm very proud of the fact that as mayor of Carson, we built the very first veterans housing development right at the corner of Carson Street and Figueroa. Drive by it. You would want to live there. And veterans were taken off the streets and provided housing, paying $300 to $400 a month to live in a great, great facility. The $20 billion has been wasted. You could have given every homeless person $500,000 and still had $5 billion left over of the $20 billion.
Thank you. Mr. Lyons.
The homeless problem is a triage problem. First of all, you have to do an assessment in terms of what caused that person to become homeless. Is it because of economics? Is it because of mental health? Or is it because of addiction? Or is it because of a circumstance you just can't control? In the military, you have three categories: those who you put back on the field, those who are basically you treat, and those you just can't help. The reality is there's a certain percentage of homeless you can't help. That's just a reality. On the reversal side, when it comes to housing the homeless, again, it boils down to the way state law controls zoning and density. If you were to look at zoning, you have zoning issues that basically protect commercial property. I say you open up the doors and you allow those commercial properties to be utilized for housing itself.
Thank you, and thank you to the candidates. We have a question from one of our students. Students were unheard when they raised our tuition by about 22%. How will you change that? Higher tuitions mean less students having access to an education.
California is the fourth largest economy in the world. Everybody here should be able to go to school for free. When I came here in 81, transferred out here in 81, I needed to take 2 more classes to get my college degree while I was in the military, serving in the military. I went to Santa Ana College. I could not believe that you can go to college for free. The first 2 years of college in California was free. So I don't know how we're still talking about this thing here about no money, this money. We are the fourth largest economy in the world. We should be looking like Dubai. We should be looking like Dubai. Every time they need something, they always use what? Education and seniors. It's our money. We should tell the governor that all our colleges should be free.
Thank you. And Mr. Michelin?
I got great news for you, James. We have a South Bay Promise at El Camino College, free for 2 years when you start out. So it's a good start, but we could do better. We got to extend that to more than 2 years. We got to extend that for California University students because you're paying tuition, but you also have to pay rent. You also have to drive. So we need free tuition. And if other countries can do it, we can do it. Also, we need student trustees at every meeting. At El Camino College, we have a student trustee that votes on every matter. They vote on every matter. They listen. They put in their opinion. We ask for their opinion. They give a report about what's going on with the students. Students should be part of university governance, not just an afterthought. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chambers.
Thank you. I am really taken aback with the raising of tuitions of our universities, especially when we're in a climate that we're in today. The cost of school, the cost of everyday life has really gotten above the heads of leaders in California and in some other states. I say that because I stood out here with our students this summer. I stood out here with our students in this campus in Long Beach, and around up and down the coast of California, championing and working with them on addressing the hikes, addressing the shortages, addressing the curriculum, addressing the hours, addressing the classes that are available. But I also want to be fair and say this. Let's look at chancellor deductions and stop raising our rates to tuitions. Can we work at that? I think we should look at that. And not saying that our chancellors are not worth what they've come and brought to some campuses, but I think before we start considering raising salaries, we should look at lowering tuitions or not raising them at all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Williams, you're next.
Yes, I just want to address the injustice that was raised in the question, that the students' voices weren't heard when it came to the tuition rates. I think that's an injustice. And one of the things I want to encourage as the next state senator representing this district is making sure that we have more participatory budgeting processes where students can have a voice in the budget on campuses. Students are the ones that drive and make the campus what they are, and I believe they deserve a voice in all financial matters. And as the next state senator, I plan to support policies that will incentivize campuses to make more online courses, which will have two benefits. Number one, it would help reduce the cost of giving much needed courses, but then it would also update the campuses on things that are more 21st century technology and reflect the varying demands of student life.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson.
Yes, to the individual, I'm assuming probably it was a student who said you felt you were unheard. Be encouraged. You were heard. We saw the news. We saw you walking. And I'll tell you, if you had not done what you did, the increase would have been a whole lot more. And that's what the political process is about. You have to be engaged. And that's why we're here today, is picking an effective, qualified state senator who can work on your behalf. I completely oppose increasing the student fees. They're already high. They're already too high. And as I said, if we're going to support in our budget a 5% increase for funding, it must. I would not support that unless it included holding on the student fees. Be encouraged. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montero.
Yeah, definitely. I do not support increases the student fees because, believe me, tuition for me, especially for low-income families and students, should be free, right? The other thing that we need to think about is that California, the priority of Sacramento is completely wrong. Because when we have a formula to fund education, we are 44 on the bottom of the pit. Of the 50 states, we're on 44 when it comes to funding education. Okay? So we need more money to education because when you have students and even some adjunct professor, faculty members, sleeping in their cars, they don't have a home. They cannot pay the rent. Sometimes they cannot even put food in their mouth because they don't have the money because they have to pay the tuition. So we need more money into a whole system from public school education to the four-year college and universities because this is the key for any individual to be success in life, to have a good family in this United States of America.
Thank you. Mr. Robles.
The reason students don't feel that they're being heard is the same reason that residents in black and brown poor communities feel that their voices aren't being heard. It's the same reason that wealthy communities' voices are heard, and that is wealthier communities vote. They vote in disproportionately higher rate than poor areas, and senior citizens vote, older people vote, much higher rate than students. Students don't vote. As the First Lady of the campus said, the power of the vote is incredible and students just don't exercise it. It's the one equalizer. It doesn't matter how many billions you have in your account or whether you're homeless. Your vote is equal. And unfortunately, students and black and brown communities don't exercise that power to its full extent.
Thank you. Mr. Lyons.
There was a person applying for a job, and they asked it was for the management of a company. So they asked one guy, well, how do you manage the company based on math? He says, well, 2 and 2 equals 4. They asked another person, well, what is the math of 2 and 2? They said, it's commonly known as 4. They asked the third person what it meant, and he ran, pulled down the shades, closed the door, and says, what do you want it to be? That's what you're hearing up here. The bottom line is about money. The question is how do you basically pay the bills? Clearly, there is a budgetary allocation problem within the system. When I went to UCLA, I left there only owing $1,500. Tuition was like $40 a unit. The issue boils down to looking at the budget and figuring out where the fat is at and who is basically taking advantage of the process.
Thank you very much. And this brings us to the final question for our candidates. Having already expanded Medi-Cal coverage for youth and residents 50 and older starting this year, the state of California will now include residents ages 26 to 49, regardless of immigration status. What more do you think needs to be done in health care coverage and costs? Mr. Spencer, you're up.
Well, you want the truth or you want me to give you a good story? First of all, it's our money, our taxpayers' money. If you came to this country legally, we wouldn't be talking about giving away our money to other people. Everybody needs health care. We need health care. Was anybody crying about health care when we didn't have it? Nobody, was anybody caring? Did anybody call you from Germany or anywhere and say, hey, do you guys need health care? Now, if you here illegally, I love everybody. But why is it here? Why is it here? If your governor tells you you're broke, where are you getting this money from? So that means they're taking more money from you. So you're not going to get the health care. Wherever country they came from, we need to hold them responsible for it.
Thank you. Mr. Michelin.
Everybody knows that we have a healthcare crisis right now. Why? Because the politicians are accepting money from big pharma, from the corporations, from the big medical establishments. So we need to change that around. We need to have Medicare for all. We can't have families worrying whether their young ones are going to be covered by it. We also need to reduce pharmacy prices. Guess what? A lot of people talk about capitalism and freedom to negotiate. Well, they don't even let the government negotiate with these pharmaceutical companies. They just take the price that they give them. We need to, have negotiation to reduce the prescription cost. So we need to reduce the prescription cost, negotiations to reduce the prescription cost, and Medicare for all. Medicare should be a right, not a privilege for the rich. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chambers.
Yes, thank you. Shirley, thank you for that. We should have Medicare for all, absolutely. There are farmers who do not even have medical insurance. Our farmers in California. That is something else that we as legislatures should be addressing. Our largest economic booster is our agriculture. So that is something that we should look at. But also I think we should look at more prevention and intervention in our communities. Our communities has the highest, worst, affordable health care, but access to medical professionals, to say it professionally. If we lower our medical reimbursements, that's how we losing our medical professionals. We have to make sure that California pays on time, that we lift our medical reimbursements so that we can retain quality health professionals in our communities, but also look at our maternal mortality rate. Look at our community as high blood pressure. Look at the issues in our community. It's because of the social economic injustices, and that's what we have to address first in our community to make sure we sustain and retain medical professionals who are not only in tune to our community and know the needs of our community, but make sure that we can retain and pay those professionals to take care of our community.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, you're up.
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure.
Thank you.
Having already expanded Medi-Cal coverage for youth and residents 50 and older starting this year, the state of California will now include residents ages 26 to 49, regardless of immigration status. What more do you think needs to be done in healthcare coverage and costs?
Yes. So our reimbursement system is completely broken. It's riddled with all of these hurdles that really prevent all communities from getting the quality care that they need, especially community health centers like MLK Hospital. So we really need to fix that because these community centers are the ones that are located in communities that have the worst health disparities in all of LA County. Willowbrook, where MLK Community Health Center is the worst, has the worst health outcomes in all of LA County. That's where I'm from. So when we fix the reimbursement system, we'll be able to address and better provide better services to our people. But we also need universal basic health care. We need universal health care. And so that's something that I will be fighting for, making sure that we have a realistic plan to deliver that. I don't subscribe to the scarcity mindset that if we help support folks that are coming to this country in need that we can all have. We can all have. Don't let the scarcity mindset overtake us and divide us. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson?
Yes. So in California, we're actually very fortunate. We provide more health care than most states across the United States. I happen to have been fortunate that when I served in Congress, I actually voted on the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. I was there. And when we walked across the street, there were people who were spitting at us. They felt so strongly that people shouldn't have health care. Health care is a right. Why? Because if someone next to you is cooking your food and they have hepatitis and they don't have health care, what's going to happen to you, right? So it's important for all of us that people have health care and that they're healthy and that they can be viable and successful. Real quickly, my mom 3 years ago was diagnosed with esophagus cancer. If she stayed in the hospital or in a rest home, the state would pay for the food that went through the feeding tube. If she went home, they don't pay for it. That doesn't make sense. It's cheaper for the state if she's at home and she's not in a hospital. And yet here, the incentives are not working properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Montero.
Yeah, definitely, we need the healthcare for all because like I said, I work for a federal qualified health center and most of our 35th district is underserved community. So we do need to bring more healthcare professionals in our community, healthcare for all, and make sure that people are taken care of, especially, like her mom at home, that if they do the service at home, they get paid. Think about it. the governor put more money into prisons and jails than education and healthcare. Then the stock market, you know that the healthcare industry is a more than $15 trillion business in the stock market in New York. And then, look at this, we gave money to research. We gave money for them to come up with a vaccine for COVID. And then the federal government have to pay them to get that vaccine to give it to us. It's a robbery. So we need to stop the bleeding.
Thank you. Mr. Robles.
Yes, two major issues with respect to healthcare. One is insurance reform. As a Congresswoman Richardson said, our insurance policies have twisted incentives. It's all about profit and not for the deliverance of healthcare, or especially preventative healthcare, number one. And number two, here's a crazy idea. Sacramento legislators have excellent healthcare at your expense. How about we stop that? And they can't have no better healthcare than the rest of the population. Simple idea. I will introduce that bill.
Thank you. And Mr. Lyons.
Could you repeat the question again?
Sure. Having already expanded Medi-Cal coverage for youth and residents 50 and older starting this year, the state of California will now include residents ages 26 to 49, regardless of immigration status. What more do you think needs to be done in healthcare coverage and costs?
Well, first of all, I think that the audience needs to listen to very carefully how these questions have been answered. The problem in the system is the quality of care. If you have been in that system, you will know that if you were to go to a specialist, you may have to wait 2 to 3 months before you see that person. So therefore, it becomes more of an accountability issue more than anything else. In regards to the solution, at the end of the day, it's about the quality of the doctors. We need to expand the process to have more doctors in the system. And secondly, there needs to be a close look at the quality of care within the system presently, because even if you have universal care for all, the question is, what is the quality?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the panel. The panel will now have 60 seconds, 1 minute for closing statements, but let us all applaud the answers they gave to the questions. Mr. Spencer, your closing statement.
Everybody said you didn't do it fair. Okay, my closing statement is, it's we the people, not we the politicians. It's our money. We need to be dictating to them what they should be doing for us. And I don't understand this. Every time a politician come around, everybody runs and happy, want to take a picture with him. That's all it is, a picture taking time. And what is the results? What are the results? Tell me right now, all y'all right now, you know I went to Sacramento on the 16th. There are more lobbyists in Sacramento. So guess what? If you do the same thing, they'll change their whole tune. We have to stand together as citizens and demand, it's our money. Wake up, it's our money. We're giving this to somebody don't even know how to do a budget. They tell you 1 minute we got money, the next day they ain't got no money. Something wrong with this picture. And the reason we're in the condition that we're in, we still gonna look at legislative and the assembly. These are people that you elect, and look what you got.
Thank you. Mr. Michelin, your closing statement.
James, I agree with you. We the people, not we the corporations. So we need to keep corporate money out of elections, down with Citizens United. Healthcare should be a right, healthcare for all, and childcare to help our families in need. Housing should be a right. Let's help these first-time buyers with down payment assistance and mortgage assistance. Clean environment should be a right. Let's hold the corporate polluters accountable. Education should be a right. We should have a tuition-free community colleges and Cal State universities. We are the richest country in the world, in the history of the world. We can do better. There are less wealthy countries who are doing better than we are, so we can do better. So happy Black History Month. Thank you very much, student leaders, for putting this on, and good luck in the ballot box. And Michelin on March the 5th. Michelin like the tires. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chambers, your closing remarks.
Yes, thank you all for coming out tonight. You all are really the champions. You all are why we're here. Thank you to Cal State Dominguez for hosting. Thank you to KJLH for being a sponsor as well. I'm Michelle Chambers with 30 years of experience. I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. This is my calling, is to serve you. I see through our community the needs. But you know, we all see the needs. We all see what needs to be done. But everyone needs to tell you how they're going to do it. I've done this for 30 years. I'm the only candidate that not only has been endorsed by the incumbent, but have led on appropriation committees and boards, have led down here in the district and worked on every level of government for the quality of life, for the betterment of your quality of life. As your senator, I'm committed to addressing livable wages, affordable health care, affordable housing. Sex trafficking in our communities has went rampant. That's what we can do about housing. Close up these motels that's selling our babies. Also address mental health and substance abuse issues, public safety, access to small businesses, and more. For an effective response,
Thank you very
elected
much.
official Michelle Chambers for Senate.
Ms. Williams, your closing statement.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you all. I am running, again, to transform lives and renew a sense of love and collective responsibility in society through transparency, equity, and accountability. I'm the only person here who has even shared the values that I stand for. That's a problem, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Do your research. Not everyone here has showed up consistently in elected office. There are folks here who have issues with ethics and integrity. Do your research and use your own mind. Don't be fooled. Plus, we need to make sure that we're investing in the next generation of leadership. And that's what I represent. I'm 34 years old. We may not be happy with the options that we have federally, but you all have an opportunity in this race to elect and support the next generation of leadership that reflects this great state. And it will be my honor to serve you. Jennifer Trishelle Marie Williams. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson, your closing remarks.
Yes, I want to thank our First Lady for not only being here and starting us off, but staying here. I want to thank the other elected officials who've been, I'm watching you write, and students and community. Thank you for coming. I'm the only candidate here that has worked as a policymaker on the local, state, and federal level. I'm the only person here who's actually authored legislation and had it signed by a governor and a president. What a state senator does is you direct money, you write policy, and you take care of your constituents. My name is Laura Richardson. I would be blessed to have an opportunity to work for you as your next state senator. And what I want to ask you is, are you better today than you were before? Do you have more money in your pocket? Students, do you feel secure that you're actually going to get a job when you finish your education? This is important. Vote, please vote. March 5th, Laura Richardson for State Senate, and vote for the other very important positions. We need you engaged. I think I see our Mayor Pro Tem
Thank you
here,
very much.
Juwan Hilton. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Montero, your closing statement.
All right, thank you for having us tonight. Again, thank you, Cal State Dominguez, and it's a pleasure. You know, I want to be your voice in Sacramento, right? Because I want to be a champion that is going to fight for education, that's going to fight for more funding for public school, for universities, for college, healthcare for all, housing for all. And we need to make sure that, you know, teachers and firefighters and all the first responding get subsidy for childcare. Childcare is another issue. Paying thousands of dollars to take care of your kids. We need to have people in our district that have good paying jobs, that they don't need to be travel 4 hours to come to work. They have to be able to live and work in the same city. And that's what I'm going to fight for, okay? I'm going to fight to make sure that your children and our next generation is not going to be poor or be on the street like some of your students, some of your, even some professors live in our RVs. So this is not America. So we need to make this a great country, and I'm going to do it for you.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, your closing statement.
Thank you. I got into this race the last week, at the last minute. So if this is a race to see who has been campaigning the longest, I'm not winning that race. If it's a race to see who has the most endorsements, I'm not winning that race. If it's a race to see who has raised the most money, I'm not winning that race. But if it's a race to see who has done the most for you already with a proven track record, Albert Robles. As the mayor of Carson, I'm very, very proud of the great successes and accomplishments we had here in this great city of Carson. If you disagree and you think things are better in Compton, then vote for the candidate who's a former council member from Compton. If you disagree and you think things are better in Hawthorne, then vote for the council member who are from Hawthorne. But if you agree that things are better in Carson than there were before I became mayor, then you would vote for me, Albert Robles. And in the words of my friend, my name is Albert Robles, candidate for state senate, and I approve this message. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Lyons, your final statement.
I guess I'm supposed to stand up since everybody stood up, so I'll stand up. Lamar Lyons equals return on investment. Lamar Lyons refers to where you can get a job. Keep in mind, you have a speed train that's being built in California. $128 billion, 155,000 jobs. How many of them have come to this district? I'm about bringing that type of action into the 35th. What district has SpaceX? The 35th. What district has Long Beach? Port of LA. These are return on investments. I'm the person to think of when you talk about money and return, Lamar Lyons.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you also for the panel. Would you like to close us out?
And to Mr. Alasta's point, what district has Cal State Dominguez Hills? The 35th district. So thank you so much to the candidates who are here today. We are proud to be what we call the jewel of the 35th district. We have more students, alumni, faculty, staff living in the 35th district than any other Senate district within the state of California. Our Mayor Pro Tem was recognized, so thank you to our Mayor Pro Tem from the city of Carson who is here, who also represents within the district. Kelly Todd Griffin, the President and CEO of the California Black Women's Collective. We're proud of that partnership. The collective is here at CSU Dominguez Hills, where we empower the community. Special thank you to Dr. Gus Martin, our moderator. Dr. Gus Martin is the chair of our Criminal Justice Administration program in the new School of Public Service and Justice that our university president just created. So, Dr. Martin, thank you so much. To our students, thank you so much. To our city treasurer, who's also an alum of CSU Dominguez Hills. Where did she go? There you are. Thank you so much for being here as well. Special thank you to KJLH thank you so much to KJLH by working with us. This was broadcast within your social media platforms. It was live for KJLH for their viewership. Special thank you to DHTV. This was also broadcast live within DHTV. So we had a lot of people watching today. We had a lot of people watching. We're going to keep on playing this for weeks to come because we want to make sure that voters are engaged. Also want to thank the team that Derek leads with Nancy Ortega. Thank you so much for your assisting today. And Joy Griffin, our student who lives in the 35th district. She lives in student housing. So you have students here in student housing who are voters in the 35th district, and Joy, our student assistant, is representing. So to our First Lady, thank you. With that, please still enjoy our beautiful campus here at CSU Dominguez Hills. You're always welcome back. We look forward to having members of the community here as often as you'd like to come to our beautiful university. To the candidates, best of luck. This is a thankless job, honestly, for the amount of time and effort that you put into going to as many different functions you go to. Thank you so much for just doing what you do, for wanting to represent us. So from me to you, thank you, because this is not easy to do whatsoever. So thank you for what you do. Before we close today, we'd like to take a photo with the candidates. with our First Lady, with our moderator. To everyone, have a good evening. Thank you.